Hello and welcome back to another new edition of Windows and Current Affairs. By the advent of 2030, probably people would imagine that the whole world would be remotely controlled by robots. With the advent, of course, of digitalization, this rapid change in our lives due to the digitalization of almost every government, every aspect of our lives, every service and everything, the technology becomes a dire need for everyone. It becomes the most essential element for any development. And of course, the artificial intelligence is going to be the secret word to any renaissance, to any development in any country, to any process of developing with any government or developing with any business, developing with education, you mean with health services and everything. So in order to be able to read the future, we have to be in full recognition of artificial intelligence and its services, its pros and cons, where we should be directing it to, and all this. And I think it's a very important topic to be discussed in every sphere of life, and that's why we chose this topic today on Windows and Current Affairs to discuss. So we're very delighted to be having with us Professor Wael Badawy. He is member of Research Council on Communication and Information Technology, ASRT, and professor at the School of Egyptian Russian University. Good evening, Professor Badawy. How are you doing? And of course, this topic today, artificial intelligence, is probably the talk of the era, may we say, not only the year, for the whole world. First of all, I would ask you to give us a clear definition of artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is let me just give it a name, a very proper name, or a clear name. Is it an idea? Is it a process? Is it a term? Is it some kind of science, maybe? Give us a full definition of artificial intelligence.
Okay, thank you for having me again, and I really enjoy being on this late show. It's a very interesting topic to talk about today, about artificial intelligence. So when Turing, which is one of the inventor of computers and binary systems and how you can automate calculations, he defined what we call it machine learning, or he defined what called artificial intelligence, which is a methodology or a framework where I can get a machine to mimic some aspect of human intelligence. It always comes into the tasks which take repetitive operation. In 2017, 2018, there is a corporation, they do market research. They identify artificial intelligence is machine learning, which basically the machine or computers can learn. It's a video, image processing or video processing, computer vision, that the machine can see an image and make a decision like a human vision. It's audible, understandable, as well as natural language processing, means I can speak and get responses using my standard natural language. The fifth element at that time, they call it deep learning, or what we call it right now, generative AI, which is a deep learning methodology. No matter where you go, you will find different set of definitions. At the end of the day, we have a machine which can replicate or can operate and relieve human from doing repetitive decisions or repetitive work. However, it does not have an innovation. The main issue, or why we are now in this era of discussion, because over the last maybe 20, 30 years, we had been digitizing and creating digital format of almost everything in our life. With the large amount of data, you need to have a new method for processing to extract relevant information. So artificial intelligence comes here to stay, because we have massive amount of information. Now, if one of the new projects, for example, which is healthcare and health insurance, the national one for Egypt. Imagine you have 100 million plus individual Egyptian under one umbrella, one database which is running the national healthcare insurance. So how you can extract data? You cannot run standard queries. How many transactions you have on credit card transaction per day? If we assume we are 25 millions are doing transaction per day, 2 to 3 transactions each per day, we talk about 100 million transactions per day. How we can authenticate, how we can verify, how we can do so many functionalities, it cannot be done by human. It cannot be done by standard automation. So AI comes because it's advanced techniques to process data. It comes with its own pros, with its own cons, and we can discuss different aspects for it. But it's a way for automating the processing of large amount of data. We don't talk about 5, 10 pieces of information. We talk about hundreds, thousands, millions of information.
Right. In other words, to facilitate the work. But talking also about digitalization and artificial intelligence. Digitalization is something that is automatic. I mean, something that is fed and services or commands that, you correct me, of course, commands that are given to the computer or whatever the device is, and then these commands could be executed automatically, which reflects that there is a difference between artificial intelligence and digitalization.
There is, you are absolutely correct. There are so many terms. The first term we discuss is called digitization. Digitization means I take a piece of paper or a piece of information or data and I make it in a digital format. I transform it to a computer understandable format, digitals, in
digits.
Yeah, so this is called digitization. Digitalization means I use these digits into making a digital decisions, which is...
That's very important.
That's the second class. The third class called automation. So automation means I do automatic procedure or automatic process on this digital format of the digitized piece of paper.
To provide services.
To provide service or to understand. We just wrote, I just got one paper published, and I start to try to understand what is the life cycle of data. So for example,
That's
you
an
take...
interesting question.
Yeah, like for example, you take a digital image with your phone. So you have an acquisition. And then you go and annotate, this is the birthday party of my kids. Now you do annotation. Then you store it locally. Then you decide to send it to somebody else. So you transfer it. Then you start to edit the photo. Then you start to replace the photo with another photo. So we came up with I came up with a 27 cycles between having a digit to the level where I purge the data. I delete the image and I delete it forever. I purge it. So there are cycles for this data. So once you have data digitized, there are cycles. Part of it is processing. Processing could be enhance the video, enhance the image under clear, remove noise, clear sound, digitizing data and processing data, understand the nature of this data, the nature of the patient, the transactions. So this kind of AI is a sort of processing. It can also operate in annotating, in enhancing. It can operate in different sets of cycles, even acquisition, when you will acquire a new image. So these decisions could be made by artificial intelligence, assuming that it does not need innovation or creativity from the human.
It does not need creativity, but it needs from me, I mean, as a human, to feed it.
The decision for the computer to take a new image does not need a creativity from the human.
No creativity, but needs some work from me still.
Yeah, I can set up the plan for it.
Only setting.
Yeah. And I can set up the plan. The plan can be very complicated. That's so many conditions. When you meet these so many conditions, you take a decision to take a photo. If we talk about automatic photo captures, for example. So this artificial intelligence, it was here for a long time. It did not come as mainstream for public before November, when you had the generative AI, and before 2017, when social media platform start to use this kind of understanding to cluster and classify users to get users what they are looking for.
Exactly. But then thinking about the artificial intelligence again, it has become so common and it has become so essential for humanity in the time we're contemporary speaking, the time we're living in, that we are almost using it, I mean, this year in every front of our lives. Like, of course, governmentally, politically, economically, health-wise, I mean, educational-wise, I mean, it's essential. We use it everywhere. But just let us just take a deeper look into the different beneficiaries or benefits of artificial intelligence to humanity. I mean, according to governance, I mean, according to nations, not from a private perception. If you like to elaborate or explain more.
Artificial intelligence will have a use as long as you don't need to have a real-time response, or what we call it critical mission response. So if you have data and you want to analyze this data and the time allows you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, artificial intelligence will give you a response. Area when you have like synchronizing the wings of Boeing airplane, for example, you cannot use artificial intelligence because artificial intelligence takes time. It does not give you an immediate response as we believe. If you want to even create or analyze, you have to send it to the server will process it and get you back the response. There is nothing on the spot. From nation perspective, for sure, the government and e-government projects, which started early 2000s, which is electronic government, it means getting all services on electronic format for a government. Artificial intelligence and using analysis with machine learning, it gives a huge advantage to government because it basically can tell the government in a very short period, few seconds to few minutes, critical information to make an informed decision about the situation. One of the examples, which road have an accident or which road is slow, by just monitoring traffic, by predicting the coming traffic.
So that is artificial intelligence.
Yes,
and it's fed by humans.
It fits by humans and it plans by humans. So if you want to understand how the artificial intelligence operates,
yes,
we assume there is a network of nodes, and this network will get input from known patterns. So I know that this pattern has a piece of information. For example, I want to classify cats versus dogs versus cars. So I will build a network of nodes on a mathematical formula, and then I will get the different photos for cats in different orientation, different photos for dog, and different photos for cars with different color, with different orientation, with different shapes, and I will tell the neural network or the convolution neural network or the deep learning, whatever you call it, AI, black box, I will tell it this is cat, this is dog, this is cars. Then what will happen after that? I will get an image which I don't know what is the type of object inside this image. And the network will tell me based on the prior information. And if you understand this concept, you will learn quickly that AI is not a program. AI is a framework. You have the network, you have the training, and you have the test data. And when you train it by different set of data, you can create what we call it bias. For example, if I will train the network with scientists, and I will bring 20 images for different scientists, 19 of them are male and 1 of them is female. With that, when the network will know these are how the scientists look, now I will bring 10 photos of a female, the network will not recognize them because it's biased by male scientist learning. We use this example to demonstrate that you can actually teach the network or get the network to learn, and you can create bias. It can be a scenic bias, age bias, hairstyle bias. It doesn't matter what you do, the network may be biased. That's why in our school and so many schools right now of AI, which is the leadership of Egypt under our president Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, that we are one of the first nations in Africa to have artificial intelligence school. So we teach our students this kind of bias because in the future there will be a data preparation for AI who will make sure that this training will not create this kind of bias. So this is one of the issues with dealing with AI, is you can deal with non-quite well-learned network.
Let me just again confirm. When you talk about bias, when you use the phrase bias, you mean it in the wrong way, or bias towards the right thing? I mean bias towards, I mean a certain race, a certain color, a certain, like what's happening on some social media platforms. I'm not going to mention the name,
Yeah.
but it's totally biased. I mean pro certain regime that is commits genocidal crimes, commits crimes against humanity, massacres children, I mean promotes for excessive violence against unarmed civilians in a country, in some cold country, and it's biased. We call that biased.
So the bias I mean is called in favor. So when we talk about 20 images of a scientist, 19 of them are male.
So towards the right thing.
It will favor the male scientist detection. So if you give
Which
it...
is wrong in some way.
So I would like to mention, and I'm not sure if we have room to discuss this, but I would like to describe what you explained for this social media operation. So we in social media prevent hate promotional images. We prevent scenes of dead animals and dead humans and stuff which create hate and create specific ideology for the standard.
To instigate violence.
In social media. Now, when you bring images, and here I'll talk about the goodwill. When you bring images of specific scenes, and you tie these images to specific hashtags, and the social media, artificial intelligence, machine learning will know that these buildings are collapsing. It's a hate. When you look at guns, it's a crime, violent promotion, which is that we train the AI trained social media not to show this and not to make a trend of this kind of images. Automatically, the algorithm will work. From your perspective, that this is actually try to promote rights for other people to survive. But the algorithm, we train the algorithm early on, remove anything which is promote violence from social media. Suddenly, you have these images, and then you tie these images to specific accounts, you tie these images to specific hashtags, and suddenly the AI will understand that these hashtags are linked to violence promotion, where I told the AI, stop violence promotion. Don't broadcast, don't spread this kind of content. So from this operation, you come now and judge it, yeah, you know what, this might be biased against. But we did not include this factor or this parameter into AI. I am taking this introductory discussion, which is, I was dying to say it on
as an explanation.
It's an explanation,
right.
scientific.
But then there is another common sense explanation that would probably elaborate on this explanation, which is using certain names of countries are banned, but other names of countries is okay. Using some names of I mean, even praying for people who are victims, for example. I mean, people with tanks for a certain country. I mean, I'm just giving an example. I know we're not tackling a certain cause or a problem or a topic, but I'm just talking about the idea itself. Why is it if I use the name of a specific country, using tanks, using excessive violence, shooting at people, committing crimes, it's okay as long as the name of this country is written. It cannot be banned. But at the same time, if I use the name of another specific country trying to defend itself, I mean, there is no violence, then it is banned. Don't we call that bias?
Yeah, it's a bias because it's to give a specific favorism, or it favors a specific trend of or trade traits of information. But this bias could be generated automatically. It does not need to be human blend. Because the same thing, if you keep posting hate or violence promotive material with specific hashtag, with specific names, you are basically blacklisting this information. It doesn't,
Which makes sense.
it's very similar that I send spam email from my email address. What the search engine will do, it will block my email address because it's standard spamming. So this kind of operation for a standard average human in the street will not feel it in this way because they are feeling, they don't understand how the technology operates. So sometimes we contribute to this kind of blockade or blockage because we keep pushing the envelope against a machine which operates with a specific parameter. And this will transfer me to another point which is you established very well, that you can, with a standard operation of AI and decision-making, machine learning, you can create a bias. And on the go, the network can be changing its own behavior. And this,
like an antidote
yes,
to what's happening.
and
That
this
makes
is
sense.
and this is what we
That's
try.
smart.
This is what we try to explain to people. Like you cannot get this kind of tools in hands of people who are not aware that
I'm
there
not
are.
professional enough for that.
That's why we always try to talk about ethical use of this network and this kind of machine learning. We talk about what kind of bias could happen. Right now, if you go to any of these generative tools, which is, we don't want to mention names, but there are common tools which can generate images. Generate an image for an Egyptian. You will find the Egyptian will be somebody with turban and beard. Now, the average Egyptian on the street does not have a, there's many of us having turban and beard, but it's not the standard look of an Egyptian. But they give it, so why it does give this kind of look? Because it was trained by this kind of
It
data.
was used so much.
It was used so much.
Like if I'm browsing, for example, for cars, I'm a caraholic, and I love to shop cars too much, then everything, anybody who uses my device after me, you will see everything here.
You will see every car. And
I'm just trying to simplify
yes,
it, right?
and if you look for SUV in particular, or you go to sport car, you always look for sport cars, and racing cars.
So all
and
my browsing will go to the
yeah,
cars.
and suddenly you ask the AI, can you recommend for me a car? It will tell you a sport car or a race car, which is you cannot even import to here, to our country, because it's not it cannot operate in our country because we don't have tracks for car in these categories. So this is what we call it with usages. This network could be biased toward the human. It has also another danger, and you know that I like to go and try to talk about the cautious and risk for people to understand. In this way, this network will know what I favor. It will know more about me because it knows that I look for this specific data. What automatically will happen is advertiser and the promoter of product for this kind of line of services and the product, they will target me by advertisement. Eventually, I will get recommendations because I basically browse using audio, using video, using search engine, using like and comment on some social media post. No matter how I browse, talking to one of my friends over the phone, and I allow the social media or the recommender, we call it recommender, to listen to my audio when I install it. I always remember we say when you install a program, don't just accept, because some of them will tell you, allow me to access other application on your phone. So it will know that. So this kind of recommender, when they grab this information, they will know more about me. And suddenly they will send me targeted advertisement to serve my interest. Because at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves one question. What is the main ultimate goal of search engine? Is to get me the data I am looking forward for it. Is not to get me the correct answer. So if I am in Egypt and I say, I would like to go for a dinner, it will give me a place in Cairo by the Nile. If I'm in Alexandria, it will give me a nice place on the waterfront. If I am in Spain or in Paris, for example, it will give me by Tour Eiffel or Eiffel Tower allocation. So why it's always considered locality? Because the goal for a search engine to respond with the information the user is looking for. If they fail in that, you will go to another competing search engine.
What is it?
If they fail to serve your interest, you will look for another search engine.
Like what?
There are Google, Yahoo.
But the same thing. It's going to be the same thing.
It could be the same thing. Like there are Google, there are Yahoo, there are Bing. There are so many search engines. It's the same for social media. There are so many social medias.
Exactly.
So if you sit on one of them and you start to use it and you get bored, it does not serve your interest, what you will do? The world comes to you with ugly and bad news. News about, for example, Canada, and they are in Egypt. You don't care much. News about Brazil, and you are in France. You don't care much. News about Japan, and you are in Saudi Arabia. You don't care much. So if they don't give you similar data to what they anticipate your interest, you will always switch to their competitor. So they will lose you, so they will lose profit. This is the ultimate goal of all of these services around us.
Exactly. Now we move on to how the artificial intelligence could be one of the main pillars for development. And as we can see here in Egypt, there has been a speedy move when it comes to artificial intelligence, using it in almost every front of our lives. Maybe COVID have speeded up this process and digitalized our lives when it comes to e-banking, education, probably other types of technological services. But at the same time, now today as we speak of, almost everything is becoming digital, and every single governmental service is founded by artificial intelligence. If you like to elaborate.
So for us here in Egypt, we have now lots of moves toward digitalization of our life. So we have like proxy right now. You can do proxy. You can book and you can write the proxy document and you go to the office and they get it stamped. You can pay your fines on traffic fines online. So this kind of services, it includes massive applications of AI, authentication, making sure that the transaction is secured, and getting this service in hands of people on their mobile phone. No matter where you are in Egypt, you don't need to go to the office again. You don't need to go to the headquarters of traffic. So it can facilitate and simplify the operation for the government. It can also get into what we call it predictive maintenance. So the government now can know that this road needs to be maintained. This power supplies need to be shut down and refurbished before it fails. So this kind of AI, it helps in a massive way of our operation. So our government is moving very aggressive steps into the AI. And this AI domain requires companies, because the government would like to implement a project. Government cannot hire AI expert all the time. It always relay back on small companies, new companies, startup companies, medium size companies. Large corporation will not change too much with AI. So this is open for our new generation a huge opportunity of establishing a smaller set of companies where it focuses on AI. And the government also have specific programs to incubate and support new companies in the area of AI in all applications. In agriculture application, for example, there is a massive on disease for plants, monitoring plants, irrigation, conditioned lighting for sensitive plants. Like you can use what we call it IoT, which is a small Internet of Things, small unit connected to the internet. It can sense light, it can take images of plants, it can get fertilizers. So in all aspects, you can actually monitor migration bird. You can also monitor fish movement. So in all aspects where human can do systematic jobs, you can train the machine and the machine will do the human task. However, human is not replaced by the machine. The human need to develop better skills to better use the machine. It's like when you use your calculator. 20, 40 years ago, there was no calculator machines. People will count on their fingers, their hand, on paper. When we had the new calculator and became a commodity right now to have calculator, people start to use their brain in something more innovative. There is a trend of people say, oh, if you don't do the math, if you don't know the math, this kind of trends are different opinion. However, when you use calculators, you accelerate your shopping, you accelerate your job, you accelerate other stuff, so you become more productive. So when we have AI, we have automated machines, machine learning, making decisions, and we learn how to use it, we will have different set of engineers, different set of doctors, different sets of...
And we can invade some new horizons we haven't invaded before.
Yes, we will go to a different horizon. So right now, this is the era we are in. As a very interesting example, I was actually a mentor for a group from Upper Egypt, and they were using fiber from the leaves of banana plants. And what they did is there was a technician who was able to build for them a machine to extract the fiber. Based on images and designs comes from the internet, or they call it open source machines. You can download the designs. And this fellow were able to localize the manufacturing and manufactured a device for, I believe, 10, 15,000 Egyptian pounds at the time. And he started to create, to extract fibers. Then what these people were doing with the fiber is they will build goodies like bags, like some handcrafted goodies where they can sell. So now, if you look at the cycle, you have a better productivity by having an automatic machine which extracts fiber, and all of these people now will find jobs who will sell this product. So what we are looking for in the future are different types of mechanics. If you understand how car mechanics in particular, in the previous 10, 20, 40 years, the technician and the mechanics will understand how the car operates. Now mechanics will read books from different manufacturers and became expert in specific brands. Because with the automation and the computer inside each new brand, the mechanics has to learn now. So you'll find he has catalogs for the part. He know like how to work in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brands only. He cannot fix any car. While his granddad 40 years ago can fix literally any car. Because he has this specialization, we look at different set of mechanics, which is more knowledgeable about the brand. We will have the same. We will have people who are using the technology to serve the job in a different way. So we'll still have instructors, we'll still have teachers, lawyers, all kinds. Similar thing happened also in banks. 10, 15 years ago, you go there and you find so many tellers, so many windows. With the ATM and the automation of the banking service, you will find 1 or 2 tellers for emergency. The rest of them are auditing electronic transactions. So this kind of transformations will happen to human in all factors. That's why we advocate that we keep our eye open and we learn about the new technology all the time.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. We still have a lot on our package to talk about when it comes to artificial intelligence. So we're going to leave it here, but on a promise from you to come over again, once again on a coming episode, inshallah, to be able to explain to us more how beneficial could be artificial intelligence and the dangers at the same time, the pros and cons.
Sure.
Of course, Dr. Wael Badawy, you are a member of Research Council of Communication and Information Technology and professor of the School of Egyptian Russian University. Thank you so much for coming over. And it was a real pleasure having you as usual.
Thank you much.
Thank you. And by this, we come to the end of this edition of Windows on Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.